Welcome to Tracking the Lost Vaudevillian. I'm Shannon Applegate.
And I'm Daniel Robertson, and this is episode 4.
I've been entertaining since the superstitious age of 13, Harry Clinton Sawyer said. And I've been in every kind of show business except the circus. Harry Clinton Sawyer, our lost Vaudevillian.
We're traveling 4,000 miles in our vintage motorhome Moby, a great white Winnebago looking for Harry's tracks.
Not easy to follow since he did a lot of backtracking and sidetracking.
According to his 1907-1908 date book, a list of places and theaters and dates.
And his handwriting leaves a lot to be desired. Straight from his vaudeville trunk to all of you, following the traces and places 115 years later.
Vaudeville circuits could be, well, circuitous. You had to go where you'd been booked by your agent and follow the train tracks.
Then there was the issue of how desirable many venues found a female impersonator who impersonated male impersonators.
Oh, come on. A lot of folks did. Just think of all the miners in towns like Butte and Escabana and Virginia that enjoyed his performances. The reviews say he was really good.
Indiana is the eastern border of our month-long journey. As we look for old theaters and train stations, lots of them are lost in this day and age. Museums, libraries, and sometimes talking to old-timers in cafes or in their front yards.
Yeah, like that nice elderly couple in Oconto, Wisconsin. Well, elderly. Yeah, they were our age.
But this journey of ours has a wider lens, too. So much to find besides Harry's tracks. So much to notice about this big, big country we live in.
You know, America is full of firsts. It's full of bests and onlys, and occasionally a last, but never a worst.
No one wants to talk about that. But the elderly couple in Oconto did point out a first. The first Christian Scientist church structure built in America in 1886. It still stands, and they told us how to find it, right there in Oconto. But a lot of Christian Scientists are going to try to say it was all in Boston, he said. But they're wrong. The Wikipedia confirms it, all right.
But, hey, we've gotten sidetracked here. Like Harry, we're doing a lot of jumps, as they say in vaudeville lingo. A lot of one-night stands, a few two-nighters, and three-nighters when we're lucky.
Right now, we're in the upper Midwest, following the edges of Lake Michigan and Lake Superior.
Visiting towns we've never heard of, but Harry had gigs there, like Escanaba, Michigan, Oconto, Wisconsin.
Do you think we'll ever learn how to say Escanaba?
We sure have our trouble with it.
So many little places in Harry's era that had vaudeville theaters, or what were called opera houses.
In Escanaba, there was a real vaudeville house where Harry played Ben's Theater. The ads were in Swedish newspaper in a small museum there, and theater is Swedish for theater.
It was clear the town was brimming with culture, both then and now. There are still stately wide porches and houses that are just lovely. There's even a 4-story resort hotel of the old-fashioned kind.
At one time, Escanaba was a hub for the railroad on the upper Michigan Peninsula, as well as a shipping center for iron ore.
Working-class Scandinavians and wealthy railroad and lumber barons alike loved entertainment, and vaudeville appealed to everyone.
From Escanaba, we made it to our RV park several miles away, still on the shores of Lake Michigan.
We were really exhausted, and the park at Gladstone looked great, through the windows anyway, on the shore of Lake Michigan, and our RV site had been reserved online. But
it turned out to be flanked on the land side by an odoriferous, as in stink, petroleum plant. The Michigan Peninsula has quaintness and winning charm in its white-painted villages, but like Oregon, its loveliness is marred.
On our way to Duluth, Minnesota, we stopped at a small cafe. The waitress's arms were tattooed with moose tracks. "Life is better up north," said a sign on the wall.
This is the so-called Northwoods, the hardwoods streaked with pale birch and ablaze with gorgeous autumn colors now. But the pines are puny. The old Northwest's big conifers, long ago victims of the axe swung by lumberjacks.
Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox have moved on. Later, still in the North Woods, we went walking in the first officially designated roadside park in the whole of the United States. That's what the sign said.
It was lovely. The leaves come tumbling down. But we digress. Sidetracked.
Harry Clinton Sawyer couldn't have stopped to admire all these things. He was in a train. He just sat there and looked out the window.
Or slept in his sleeper car.
Harry's travels by train and train stations in general are inescapable topics for us. In a fabulous train museum in Duluth, our next stop, we walked inside a 1908 dining car with the traditional domed ceiling, actually edged in stained glass. The Great Northern's china, with its own logo, was arrayed over white linen tablecloths and handsome tables for four.
Harry would not have been able to afford too many trips to the first-class dining car, though.
At the still-standing North Pacific train station.
Magnificently designed, including turrets.
Harry's trunk would have been unloaded onto huge horse-drawn baggage carts and taken to the Bijou Theater, where he had a 4-night stand.
There were large, man-high posters announcing plays and vaudeville shows beside the walkway where passengers disembarked in 1908.
Duluth was a happening town back then. Still is, I guess. The city directories of 1908 listed a staggering, may I say, number of bars and more than 6 theaters. In Duluth as well as the mining towns we visited.
Eveleth, Virginia, and Hibbing in the so-called Iron Range of Minnesota.
We wondered how Harry's particular impersonations would have gone over with such a crowd of so many miners of various ethnicities.
Scandinavian, Italian, and East Europeans from the Baltics.
They may have been an enthusiastic, but not a particularly sophisticated audience.
These are gritty, active mining towns, even today, populated by union miners and working-class families.
Again, the surrounding landscape reveals the scars of humans bent on extracting all we can from the environment. Strip mining is still going on in the red-tinted hills of the Mesabi Range.
Coal is still being shipped in thousands of boxcars and barges to supply the steel mills. This is the Rust Belt.
But you know, vaudeville was there in 1908 to entertain all who wanted relief from back-breaking labor.
And Harry Clinton Sawyer was there too.
Join us as we travel south in our next audiocast. See you then.
Bye.